Welcome back, you future Jonathan Cranes. Today we have to talk about a fascinating subject which is going to offend some of you because you'll go, Goldberg, you always play psychologist with us. And it's rather true. But like anything else, we take a look at the subject matter, we determine are there jobs out there, and do you want to invest potentially thousands of dollars in this piece of paper? That is the objective. Now, I recognize there are many who get a degree in psychology and don't become a psychologist or anything related, so that's going to throw a wrench in the machine. Obviously, you could have a psychology degree and be excellent at sales. Now, do you need a psychology degree? A little bit more debatable. But this video will primarily focus on those career fields that distinctly or closely tie themselves to the field of psychology, and particularly some that are growing and there's going to be a lot of demand. But obviously there are other opportunities. However, that's where you have to weigh, do I need this particular type of degree if I'm going to go in an entirely separate direction insofar as the specific coursework required as a whole. So if we take a look at the BLS for psychologists, which later on we'll talk about psychologists for psychiatrists because there is some nuance, you see 3% growth, 5,700 jobs, not a whole lot. At the same time, not everyone is going to have the PhD because it takes a long time, so that counterbalances it a little bit. But of course, you have to keep that in mind because by the time you graduate, what are the stats going to be and how many positions will be in fact open? And you've got psychiatry, you've got psychology, you've even got, I think it's psychological counseling, PhD, and there's a guy, Dr. Todd, I forget the last name, but if you search him, he'll pop up, and he does a lot of videos, and he has a whole one which breaks down whether it's worth pursuing the PhD. I think he had a very good explanation of all the work entailed, so definitely check that out if you are, I think it's Todd Grande, it just came to me now. So, if you're looking down that route, you need to comprehend the amount of effort and time it's going to demand. But you can still get a decent job in the psychology field with a master's degree. If you just stay at the bachelor's, it's going to be tougher, but with a master's, you'll be fine. Here, quickly, we have psychiatric technicians and aides, 12% growth, 17,000 jobs. So that's a little bit more appealing. Of course, are those going to be full-time positions or are they kind of lower paid? It's all going to vary. We know that most industries are trying to reduce the elite professionals and move to these paraprofessional positions, which may not pay as much, but are easier to fill and actually quicker to fill because that reduces their costs. So that might be a stepping stone to a full-time psychiatrist position. It's all going to depend where you're looking for a job. Here we have marriage and family therapists, 22% growth, 14,000 jobs. So again, not too bad. There you see master's degree is usually what you need to get into that field. This one, really big, substance abuse, behavioral disorder, mental health, 25% growth, almost 80,000 jobs projected. That's just going to skyrocket because mental health has been something often neglected, but now people are saying, oh, maybe this is relevant, how it's affecting people's lives. So that's a pretty secure direction to go. Recommend getting the master's level, and you will find opportunities in schools, governments, even the private sector. You could set up your own clinic. You don't really necessarily need the PhD, although it does look good, but that takes a lot of extra time and money. So weigh the positives, but mental health especially is going to be massive, but also substance abuse. So keep that in mind. Occupational therapy, a little bit different, but also related, that is becoming massive as well. If you work with special needs kids, incredible growth in the future. So this is, weirdly enough, people will try to dismiss it, but weirdly enough, psychology, depending on the route taken, can be a rewarding and extremely lucrative field as far as the next several decades are concerned. And here we've got some of the top psychology programs. I suppose if you're trying to shoot towards getting a PhD, the ranking of the school matters a little bit more. Otherwise, and we'll bring it up in just a second, certifications, accreditations are really where it's at. There you see Stanford, so you guys can all make yourself prisoners. And then as far as jobs, so this is what I talked about earlier, breaking down psychiatrist versus psychologist. Psychiatrist is degree in medicine, so you're going to have the power of prescription, more of a doctor. The psychologist is approaching things from a different angle, doesn't have necessarily equal status as a doctor. You are going to have some degree of interplay, but a lot of it comes down to what you are legally allowed to do with patients, what type of treatment you can help them pursue. So that's a good distinction. And like I said, for those, to really get to a particular level, especially psychiatrists, you're going to have the PhD, or really it's an MD. So don't look at that as just, oh, this is a light commitment. If you want to go that direction, it's going to be a lot of time, a lot of effort, many years. So it's not just a few years out of college and I'm good. So comprehend that. And this is something, if you want to just get started, you'll probably have them if you go to a research university. You'll just see them posted around. You can talk to people in the psychology department, but this is called the Social Psychology Network, and you can go check out studies and you can participate in them if you're qualified. Maybe you can even help volunteer and work with the people conducting this study. That's very important if you want to show that you're capable of getting into more of a PhD level program, or even if you're trying to do the master's, you're trying to get an internship, you want to get a job. That looks excellent on your resume. So not just student groups, not just getting decent grades, but actually showing evidence that you've participated in things or even helped organize them is crucial. You've got therapist positions, which we already alluded to, and then also social workers. Now, I bring these both up in tandem because this is where we get into it, and I apologize, it's a little bit cut off, but this is clinical counseling versus clinical social work, and some of the primary certifications, you've got licensed professional counselor and you've got licensed clinical social worker. Those are two you're going to see listed frequently. Sometimes they want you to have both or be at least eligible for one, have the other. Definitely something to bear in mind. Master's in counseling, master's in social work, and you have these accreditation bodies, and that's really important. Don't go into a master's program that is not properly accredited. Even if they say, oh, we're working on it, they need to already have it done, okay? Because you don't want to have a degree that, oh, well, it's pending, and then you can't get it properly recognized when you're attempting to get a job. So that's the big deal with any of these fields. Make sure you're doing your due diligence as far as it's a quality program and it's properly accredited. I don't recommend doing them online because I've seen a lot of negative reviews for these online counseling or social work programs where they're like, yeah, they're not actually teaching. They're just setting it up because it's it's a money mill, a money pump. So that's my view in psychology. There are good opportunities out there. You just have to have a clear goal and really commit to at least the master's degree level. Then if you want to go to the PhD, that's up to you. It's going to take a great amount of additional effort and work. But certainly if you want to go to psychology and you want to work in a field related to psychology, you're looking at a master's degree, probably bare minimum to get a decent job. So any other majors you want to see discussed, just drop them below.